Meet the new Slack, where AI works. My name is Vic Matarata, Senior Director, AI Product Marketing here at Salesforce, and I'm excited to talk to you about a lot of things. But what you're going to hear from today is Mark Benioff, CEO and Chairman of Salesforce, and co-founder and CTO of Slack, Parker Harris. Today's headline, though, Slack has always been where work happens, but Slackbot is how work gets done. So you're probably wondering, what is happening behind me? There are partners, there are employees, there are sponsors. There are a lot of people here today to learn about the new Slack and also to learn more about Slackbot. They're going to see a ton in action. We got demo booths, it's busy. And by the way, there's a lot of good appetizers and drinks going around too. It's morning, but we're having a great time here in San Francisco. So what's happening up after this? It's going to be the main keynote. You're going to meet the new Slack and you're going to see it in action. Lots of product, a lot of actually presentations. It's going to be great. Guess what? There are 30 new capabilities. That's right, 30. It's how to take you Slackbot from the personal agent to the ultimate teammate. Humans and agents working seamlessly together. That's right, they all work together. You're going to hear from companies like Anthropic, Beast Industries. That's right, I said MrBeast and his company himself. They're all here, and you're going to hear all about how they're using Slack to power MrBeast and all of his fun games. Now, what you're going to do is you're going to learn more about all these companies and everywhere else throughout the day, but all the things you're going to learn about from the keynote, we're going to have key takeaways to summarize for you after the keynote. But here's a special sneak preview. After all that happens, you're going to have a sit down with Forward Future's Matthew Berman and Mark Benioff, and they're going to get more deep into what Slackbot is and how the new Slack is going to help power your companies. All right, enough of me. Let's get to this short video.
Today, Slackbot is entering its most powerful era yet. Every project, every task, every who said what in that meeting last Thursday, it's all at Slackbot's fingertips. Figuratively, of course, Slackbot doesn't have hands. Say hello to the new Slackbot.
All right, so I had a lot of guests come join me, but I have something special here. I told you today is the Slackbot moment. Where is Slackbot? He's right here, Slackbot. Give me that little shimmy. You are so excited. This is a big day for you. You know I can't hear you, but we can definitely see you. Give us your best shimmy for everyone here to learn more about why you're so excited. Show them. I'm going to get into it too. This is totally awesome. Slackbot, today's a big day for you. Congratulations. We're going to stop by soon. We'll see you shortly. Thanks for stopping by. All right, so I have another VIP here, Evan Stowers, our product marketing director here on Slack. Now, Evan, today's a big day for you, as it is for Slackbot. I'm not going to ask you to do a few shimmies, but I'm not going to stop you if something on your mind. So, Evan, we've been using Slackbot at Salesforce for a few months, and I love it. The employees love it. But today, I want to know what your favorite use case is.
That's a great question. Excited to be here, and I'm excited for all those joining us to experience what we here at Salesforce have experienced with Slackbot for the last several months. So as you know, as a marketer at Salesforce, we do a lot of complex product launches, and so I've been using Slackbot to help me coordinate across all of that. So it's helping me draft content that we're seeing facilitated throughout our assets, drafting executive updates, and my favorite, helping me with all of those multi-step workflows that I used to do one by one myself. I have built skills using a canvas, creating instructions, and now Slackbot runs that for me.
Evan, I concur with everything you say. What's really fun about working at Salesforce using Slackbot is we all share so many new comings, and it's so cool to hear what you just mentioned, so I'm going to give that a shot. But Evan, I have another question for you. What are you most excited to learn about today, here, right now?
Oh man, well we have an incredible lineup of speakers, mainly the customers. I think that's my favorite part, is hearing how customers are using the all-new Slack, and specifically Slackbot. So you're going to hear from Anthropic, you're going to hear from Engine, an AI travel platform company, and of course, you're going to hear from MrBeast himself, Jimmy Donaldson.
That's super cool. You know, like when we did the MrBeast film with the at the NFL and the Super Bowl show, that was super cool. So really looking forward to seeing what he has to say and his whole team and how they're using Slack to power their businesses. All right, so Evan, another question I get a lot is, you know, we have a lot of existing Salesforce customers. Do the products such as Agentforce Sales and Agentforce Service, are those prerequisites to use Slack or Slackbot?
So they, of course, make the platform that much more powerful. The more context and data that Slackbot has, of course, the better it's going to run and help you. But of course, it's not a dependency, right? Slack is all about the ecosystem that you work in. So any app and any agent that you're using, any connected data, all works with Slackbot.
Awesome. I love how it just all comes together. And like you said, it makes it smarter, it makes it better. Sort of like how we're using Slackbot at work. You know, it's all connected to Agentforce Sales, Agentforce Service. So if you're a salesperson using Slack or Slackbot, it powers there right in the flow of work, and that's what makes it so powerful to use. All right, so here's a question. I'm already using Slack. Is Slackbot part of the plan?
So yes, if you are on Business Plus or you are on Enterprise Plus plan, all your admin needs to do is flip a switch and all of the users will have access to Slackbot.
Okay, great. I love it, I love it, I love it. There's ways to get access to Slackbot. You're not alone, and it's going to get even better in the coming months. All right, so a lot of people might be wondering, is it just another AI tool, Evan? Or do they have to, like, do they have to manage something new? Is it something that they have to go to a different window? Tell the audience more about what Slackbot is and just demystify that for us.
Yeah, that's the beauty of it. I'm also going to speak to what makes Slackbot different from other AI tools, because it's not just another AI tool. And I'm going to start with this. Slackbot, especially in the age of AI, context is king, right? And Slackbot lives natively in Slack, so it already has the context of your entire business. So that's what makes it different. And then next is the experience. Everything is conversational. So what Slackbot does is it's now orchestrating all of your data, all of your apps, all of your agents in a single conversation. So you're not chasing context across other apps and agents. You're doing it all in Slack.
Awesome. So I'm going to double click on the word orchestrate now. So Adam, before we were getting ready for or Evan, before we were getting ready for the show, you mentioned something about a use case you were using internally for a travel approval. You're based out of Austin, Texas.
Oh, yes.
Tell us more about that process, because
Yeah.
I was blown away.
You are going to hear a lot more about this in the keynote following right after this. But ultimately, you're going to be able to just tell
Awesome.
Slackbot what you want to
great.
do, and it will
Evan,
update it.
we got some really fun news. We're going to go to the keynote now. We're going to get
Ready.
started.
We've reached an agentic inflection point. AI agents. Executing entire workflows.
Apps and agents.
Agentforce.
This is the powerful moment. And our agents now have encyclopedic knowledge.
It's a win for the consumer. It's driving down costs.
Customers aren't going to deploy just one agent. There's going to be many agents.
Big companies are using Agentforce.
Agentforce is now an $800 million business, and to see the velocity.
This is an agentic revolution.
We're going to this incredible new world, the agentic enterprise.
Being agentic enterprise, all of a sudden you have a supercharged business.
You've got the ecosystem, you've got the platform.
This new agentic enterprise is a system of context, a system of work, a system of agency, and a system of engagement. All front-ended by Slack.
Slack is our operating system. We run our full business in Slack.
Slack makes facilitating conversations so easy.
It's how we communicate with each other, it's how we plan with each other.
All your CRM data,
I cannot live without Slack.
all the apps.
How do you help everyone move faster?
It's the front door to the agentic enterprise.
And then we blow the bank up.
Slackbot allows us to keep up with all the collaboration that's going on at the company.
We are always trying to pull off the impossible.
If you're running a business without Slack, you're doing it on hard mode.
I will literally protest if you get rid of Slack.
It's invaluable. Slack is completely foundational to the approach. We've saved and made at least $4.5 million just because of how we're using Slack.
What's really evolved over time is how much we've been able to connect it to other systems. By being able to bring our Salesforce data into Slack, I've seen our time in the deal desk stages go down by up to 60%.
At Rivian, Slack brings our people, data, processes, and agents together into our flow of work.
Say context is worth 100 IQ points. And you see Salesforce, Data 360, Tableau, and Slackbot coming together to simplify so much of our workload.
Slackbot is my chief of staff. That saves me about 30 minutes a day.
Now that I use Slackbot, I cannot go without it.
I think we're at a new era. Agents enabling you, that's really where the magic is.
Okay, good morning, everybody. How are you doing? All right, we're happy to have everybody here. It's going to be a great day. We're really excited to celebrate Slack and Slackbot and Salesforce. And we're going to just get going here. So we're going to meet the new Slackbot, where AI works. And Before we do everything, we're going to try to entertain you this morning. We're going to try to inspire you. We're going to try to motivate you. But mostly we're going to try to do what? Does anybody know? How do you know that? Incredible. We're going to try to thank you. We always try to start with some gratitude because we know that we cannot do this alone. We are deeply grateful to you, to every single one of you, all of our employees, our customers, our partners, our influencers, the media, our investors. We cannot do what we do without you. So thank you. And we are deeply committed to all of you. We're deeply committed to our core values, to trust, to customer success, to innovation, to quality, sustainability. It's been 27 years, amazingly, of Salesforce. Hard to believe, actually. And Don Clark is in the back. I love these meetings because he always comes, who wrote the first story on Salesforce. So thank you, Don. Software goes online. So thank you, Don. And I'll just say that way back when, 27 years ago, we had a great idea. It was beyond software as a service. It was to take 1% of our equity profit time to put it into a foundation, to commit it to our values. And it has resulted in about $1 billion now of giving, 10.5 million hours of volunteerism, more than 64,000 nonprofits and NGOs run for free on our services all over the world. And probably the best thing we ever did is that we encouraged 19,000 other companies to join us in our 111 mission, which has resulted in about $3 billion of philanthropy. So we continue to encourage and evangelize that incredible opportunity. And a core part of that is right here in San Francisco and in Oakland. We have now done more than $286 million in all-time local giving, which is awesome. Thank you. Especially focused on our public education. As you know, we're mostly focused on our public schools, the local San Francisco Unified School District, our core partner, the Oakland Unified School District, our local NGOs, and we're so grateful to all of them. And we're also very proud to see the tremendous transformation of San Francisco that's underway, and we are a significant funder of that. We're putting our money where our mouth is, putting millions of dollars into investing in our local city services, including our police department, to get our city back to where we all want it to be. We're deeply committed to doing well and doing good. It's been an incredible journey over 27 years. This year we'll do over $46 billion in revenue. Hard to believe. Incredible margins, more than 34%. More than $16 billion in cash flow will be generated by the company this year, which is why we have so much to give away. And Q4, which we just launched, was our best quarter ever, with more than $11 billion in revenue, more than $72 billion in RPO, which is deals we've signed but not yet recognized. So an incredible future coming for Salesforce. And the best numbers, not only that we've ever had, but these are the largest numbers anyone in the enterprise applications business has ever delivered. Now, beyond the financials, this is about 27 years of innovation as well, which is why we're here today. You're about to see the next level of that. I know a lot of the people in the room have been building and participating and creating this amazing level of innovation, and we're going to see some awesome things with Slack. Now, before we do that, I just want to give you a brief Agentforce update. We have an incredible tiger by the tail with Agentforce. It is our fastest growing product ever. More than $800 million in fourth quarter ARR. Incredible 169% year-over-year growth. 771 agentic work units. And what that means is actually complex transactions that are getting generated by these agents to make this happen, with more than 23,000 customers. And you can see those customers all over the Bay Area, but really all over the world, including Pandora, amazing company based in Copenhagen, Denmark. And in Copenhagen, Denmark, and how many of you have been to a Pandora store in the mall? Okay, if you go online, you're in the mall, you're in service, you're using Salesforce, even their point of sale is now Salesforce, customer service is Salesforce, sales is Salesforce, marketing. Incredible company. Lennar, how many of you live in a Lennar home? Anybody? Oh, got to buy some oil in our homes. So we have agents scheduling 12,000 tours. Amazing for them. How many people flew here on Southwest Airlines? We've got to start getting committed to the Salesforce customers. Come on. It is amazing to see what agentic AI is revolutionizing all these customer experiences since we first launched Agentforce. Now it's been a couple of years. So we know there is still very much now what we call the agentic divide. Used to be the digital divide, now it's the agentic divide between we're having these great experiences with our customers, but still we know there's many companies who have not yet crossed this chasm, which is why we have Jeffrey Moore over here to help us to learn how to cross the chasm. But we think that in this moment of transformation, one of the things that we've seen to help these customers move through the agentic divide is Slack. And Slack is how work has been getting done. It's been an incredible journey, 5 years of Slack. We've delivered already 2.5 times revenue of growth since the acquisition on Slack. It'll probably be 3 times by the end of the fiscal year. We have about 1 million businesses running on Slack. It's been a huge growth story. And to help me understand that, communicate it, is where is my co-founder, Parker Harris?
Right here, right behind you.
There he is. Very good. Please welcome Parker. Parker, before we go on, you have been doing incredible work with the mayor in transforming the city. You're part of his leadership team. Give us a quick update. How is things going?
Well, I think things are better than ever, and I think part of it is Mayor Lurie's dedication to the city. Like, he is everywhere. And if you follow Instagram and you see him, he is dedicated to the city. We are making it safer. He's very pro-business as well, because we need more businesses. We need more businesses downtown. And also, we gave some money. One thing we did around safety was around this drone program. And I visited. So downtown, there is an office building. And there are police officers sitting in that building, and they manage drones from the tops of rooftops here in San Francisco to keep us all safe. To follow during an incident, they actually follow the perpetrators, arrest them. With everyone being safe, perpetrator goes to jail. It's pretty amazing. Very excited.
I saw that on Minority Report. It gets very interesting in the future. Okay.
All right. Thank you, Mark. Well, let me just start by saying, I am a co-founder with Mark. It's been 27 years. 2 years ago, I dropped into the Slack business unit, and I did that because I saw an opportunity to get incredible value out of this asset. We are lucky to have Slack, and you can see it by the numbers, 2.5 times revenue growth, 900% growth in AI users, but also just an incredible team, an incredible amount of innovation that you're going to see today. And, you can see it where Slack is where the biggest brands work. So, a lot of many large companies, the category leaders, are living in Slack. Amazon, one of our biggest Slack customers, actually. It's unbelievable what they're doing with Slack. Verizon, Target, but also here in San Francisco and kind of everywhere, the top AI companies, where do they work? They're not vibe coding in their own place to work. They all live in Slack. Anthropic, you'll hear more from Anthropic today, a great partner with Slack. OpenAI, every single AI company lives in Slack. And it's not just getting work done in Slack, it's AI work getting done in Slack. So look at this number. So 300% growth in custom AI agents since February. So 2 things happened. This is people building applications, building AI agents, and running them in Slack, because Slack is the best place for humans and AI to work together, or even AI to work with AI. We opened up our APIs, a real-time search API, as well as the MP server GA. And that happened in February. Those 2 things roughly in February. 300% growth, like a rocket ship. Unbelievable. You're going to see some of that today. But Slack is brand new. Slack is brand new. It's where AI works. We're going to walk through what's going on with Slack. What is new about Slack? And it all starts with Slackbot. How many of you have not used Slackbot? Okay, that's good. Yeah. I hope every one of you is being honest, because Slackbot, I'm really so excited. Slackbot is the fastest growing feature I have ever seen at Salesforce, maybe in the industry. It is unbelievable. It knows you. It's your teammate. It's your collaboration co-pilot. It's like right there with you, doing work with you and doing work for you. And it's magic. It's out of the box, and it just works. It's also that Slackbot is expanded with skills through all of these partners, these partner applications. We have a huge AI marketplace. You know, I showed you those custom apps being built. There are companies building their products right into Slack. If you use Dropbox or DocuSign, if you use Linear for coding, unbelievable experience within Slack. And Slackbot can take all of those and gets even more powerful through all of those skills. It's also about CRM. Salesforce, if you didn't know, is a CRM company. Check out our ticker symbol and you'll remember that. And there's a lot of small businesses that start in Slack. And when they start in Slack, don't they need to sell? Don't they need to market? Don't they need to service their customers? Why not just do it right within Slack? So we have CRM built into Slack for small businesses. That's out right now. But we're not stopping there, because we're actually disintermediating Salesforce while we do this. We are basically saying, why should I ever log into Salesforce? I built the Lightning UI. I worked really hard on it. Why should you ever log into Salesforce again? Maybe you never will. Maybe you will go in to Slack, because Slack is that new engagement layer for enterprise software, for developers. And it's also, as I said earlier, where the AI is. You're going to get the AI help. So sales is different. Deals are closing more quickly. Service, field service, IT service, HR, so everything is changing. Every single, and if it's not changing fast enough, I guarantee you, Mark will be beating people over the head in Salesforce and say, why are you not going faster? Slack is also where you manage Agentforce. Slackbot is your employee super agent. But there are a lot of incredible agents being built on our platform, on Agentforce, for sales, for service, for marketing, for every use case you can imagine. But as an employee, should you have to go, well, I need to do this, but which agent should I choose? Let me go through the UI and find it. No, you don't have to do that. Slackbot knows you. It also knows all of the other agents that are out there that it has access to, and it'll just hand off to those. It will orchestrate to those agents to get your work done and make you more productive. So Slack is the front door to the agentic enterprise. So this is Salesforce's architecture, and Slack is a key part of that. Down at the bottom, AI is nothing without data. If you don't have the right context, we all know that, AI is really dumb. You know, bad data in, bad data out. So you got to start with an amazing data layer. So that comes with our data cloud. It comes with our data 360, Informatica, new acquisition, unbelievable asset for us of bringing your data together. And then you have your system of work, all of the applications. You know, there is no SaaS apocalypse. That is just ridiculous. Everybody needs their sales, their service, their marketing, all the applications, all the workflows. Everything our customers have invested in is incredibly valuable today because it's now powered by the system of agency. All of the AI has the access to that data and all of your business processes, and then surfaced through that new engagement layer, which is Slack. And so I would prefer for you to see this technology instead of me talking about it. So we're going to let you meet the new Slack. We're going to show you demo after demo. You're going to see what I'm talking about. And to start, we're going to have the star of the show, Slackbot, and the star of the show, Rob Seaman, GM of Slack. Take it away, Rob.
Sure. Thank you, Parker. Thank you, everybody, for being here. This is the first time I've worn glasses in public, so I noticed yesterday I couldn't actually read that screen, so if I trip and fall, give me a little grace. Anyway, I'm so excited to talk to you about Slackbot. I used Slackbot this week for, I had it translate some Italian handwriting through an image into English. I gave it a deck that I was going to review with Mark and said, hey, can you play Mark and play devil's advocate and let me know what questions he might ask? It truly is an indispensable teammate. It is smart. It is pleasant, and it's endlessly useful. It's smart because it knows you. It knows your priorities, the projects that you're working on, but it also knows what's important to your team. And it knows what's important to your company because the priority, the goals, the top projects of your company are reflected in channels in Slack. It's pleasant because we've given it the voice and tone. Who here uses Slack? All right, cool, a lot of you. So it's pleasant because we've given it the voice and tone and the reverence and playfulness of the Slack product, but also because it knows your personal preferences from session to session. We've given it memory, so it knows if you prefer to create slides in Google Drive versus, say, OneDrive. We know what emojis you prefer to use when talking to particular colleagues versus your boss. And I think you'll see as we show you all the new capabilities that we're introducing and skills that we're introducing, the upper bound of use cases for Slackbot is truly limitless. Now, before I show it to you, I want to talk a little bit about how it works. So we're proud to say that we've built this with Anthropic. We've got Ami from Anthropic here who's going to talk to me later. When you ask Slackbot a question or you give it a directive, a couple things happen. This is dramatically simplified and it's not always linear. First is context engineering, and this is kind of the magic. So this is where the system prompt for Slackbot is. This is where the RAG happens that pulls all the valuable information from Slack, but also the valuable information from Google Drive, from Atlassian, from other systems that you might have connected into your Slack as a user. It's also where your preferences are pulled in to make it personal to you. We then reason over what needs to happen in order to accomplish the task or answer the question. And when it's reasoning over Agentforce agents. It's reasoning over every connected system in Slack, every action it can take in Slack. But every one of those ecosystem apps and agents that Parker mentioned can register their MCP servers for use by Slackbot in their app manifest. So it can reason through and figure out which ecosystem partners it should call. And then it calls those tools. And at the end of the day, the user gets what they want. And it's often a surprising and delightful moment where you're like, oh, wow. I didn't know it could do that. Or, oh, wow, I didn't know it was going to be that good. And I couldn't be more excited to show it to you. I need the glasses for the showing it to you part. So I'm going to do that through the context of a customer. Everybody know who MrBeast is? All right. 90% of the content on my TV, thanks to my 11 and 9-year-olds, is MrBeast's content. MrBeast has 470 million YouTube subscribers. That's more than The Rock or Tay-Tay, I think. They get about 350 million views per video on average. Behind the faces that you see on TV are over 500 employees. I think we have Lewis here, who's the CIO of MrBeast, so thank you to MrBeast for being a customer. But they are a content production machine. They run contests, they run stunts, they blow up buildings. They have a camel, as I saw, that walked through their headquarters. It's just a really fun customer to work with. And they live on Slack and they use Slackbot pretty indispensably throughout their day. So Dylan, why don't we show some of the new features that we're announcing today in Slackbot through the lens of MrBeast. All right, so this is Slack. For those of you that don't use Slack, we're looking at a channel. This is Jimmy. For those of you who don't know, this is MrBeast himself. Now, who here has ever had a boss swoop in and say at the very last minute, we're going to make a big change to what we have planned, right? All of you, exactly. It happens a lot. Not here at Salesforce, but apparently it does at Beast Enterprises. So Jimmy says we need to make a pivot from where we're going to run this stunt to 2 other locations. And so we're going to ask Slackbot, how can we make this pivot? Now, that's a very basic question with very little context. So one thing I want to point out here is Slackbot has situational awareness. So it can actually see the channel or the canvas that I have open here to the left of Slackbot. So it knows that Jimmy actually asked for us to pivot, in this case, I think from Fiji to 2 other locations. Now, the first thing you'll see it's doing is it's loading this relocation skill. Now, Dylan, if we go up to the Skills tab, Skills is one of the new things that we're announcing today. So I think this is becoming a bit of a standard, but this is a way for people to extend Slackbot. That's for users, for companies. We're going to have an out-of-the-box catalog of these skills. People can contribute to them and share them with their colleagues. But these skills are a set of instructions, again, for how to extend Slackbot to execute a specific process. So apparently this relocation stuff happens a lot at Beast Industries, so they built a skill specifically for that. And if we go back to Slackbot, you'll see it has loaded that relocation skill, and it started to execute it. Now, what it's doing in here, one, it's pulling in that context, so it's searching within Slack. It found this stunt brief from the past, and it's taking the information about this current stunt we're trying to execute, joining it with that template, and what it's going to do is it's going to go create a presentation on brand in the Beast Industries template, and it's going to share it back into this channel. Now, what's happening there as it's doing that is it's also going to check the calendar of me and the people that need to be in the meeting that are in this channel, okay? So it's going to create the deck. It's going to find time for us all to meet together to review the deck synchronously. And then it's actually going to send that message and share all that content to everybody on this team. One of the most powerful things about Slackbot is it's a personal agent for me. But one of the most powerful things about Slack is it's a multiplayer environment. So I'm taking all of this insight, all of this knowledge, all of this power, and I'm taking it out of single player mode, and I'm putting it into multiplayer mode, and I'm doing that in a channel. So here you can see it is built out the deck. We're going to show that to you in a second. I keep forgetting to do that because it's super cool. And we're going to ask it to share it back into channel. And so as it does this, it's going to ask me if I want to share that back into channel because the user is opting in for Slackbot to act on its behalf. And so when we go in and actually preview that particular deck, you're going to see that it has created it on brand and in the Beast Enterprises corporate template. I think you can just scroll up and click on the link at the top in the Slackbot conversation there. Yeah, if you scroll down. There you go, you see that. If you click on that. Oh, we're having a little bit of a demo issue here. But what this is doing, as I mentioned, again, it's read all that content, it's booked a meeting for us, and it has created that presentation. With our monitors, we're not actually able to do the preview and show you the presentation right now. We'll give that one shot again, and if that doesn't work, we're going to hop over and fast forward to the meeting. Cool. Why don't we hop over and fast forward to the meeting, Dylan? All right, so we're going to hop over to the meeting, and we've got a couple things that are happening here. So one, I want to call your attention to the fact that this little thing that you see on the right at the bottom, this is not Slack. This is not your traditional Slack client. This is Slackbot out of Slack, okay? So what we've done is we picked Slackbot up out of the container of Slack, we've set it down on your desktop and made it available to you there. The very first thing Dylan did here is ask Slackbot to start taking notes on the meeting that you see at the top here. That meeting is a Google Meet. So what Slackbot is doing here is this is actually tapping into my local audio and becoming a personal note taker on my behalf. Now, I have a budget up over here on the left, and I'm not good at numbers or math, and so I am going to ask Slackbot to take a look at this budget and see how we can make this pivot from one location to two locations happen under budget, okay? And so I opted in to have Slackbot look at my screen there. So it's taking a screenshot of that spreadsheet that you see there. And the cool thing about this is if it can't actually read the spreadsheet, it'll actually go into the Google Drive connector, search for and find that spreadsheet through Google Drive and read it that way. And what it's going to do is it's going to come back with a summary of how we can actually make this pivot happen within budget. But it's also going to spit out a dynamic user interface that's a dashboard for how we can make that happen that I can share with the rest of the team. So this is two things. One, well, three things actually. Slackbot out of Slack onto your desktop. Two, Slackbot listening to the meeting as it's happening on your behalf. Three, Slackbot reading your screen. And then four, Slackbot actually creating content for you on the fly. So here you can see it's written the executive summary about how we can make that pivot, and now it's spit out the dynamic user interface. That's a dashboard for that budget analysis. And Dylan's going to go back in and share that back to that survival channel. Okay. Now, we're a minute and 45 seconds into this meeting, and I haven't been listening at all. Does that happen to any of you? Happens to me a lot because my screen looks like this, and I've got things going up, and I've got ADD real bad. So in this case, I'm going to say, go ahead and catch me up on the meeting. So what this is going to do is this is going to look back through what it's been listening to and actually tell me what's been happening, what I need to get up to speed on, or if any action items, God forbid, have been assigned to me while I haven't been paying attention. All right. So we'll turn those meeting notes off. I could take those, do what I please with them, share them back into channel. But you've seen a ton of stuff here. And what you've seen is, again, taking it out of that personal agent world for Slackbot and putting it back into a multiplayer context. So all in this survival stunt channel. Jimmy asked for a pivot. We created a presentation. We booked a meeting. We sent a message. We analyzed the budget. We got an executive summary of how to make it happen and a dashboard for everybody to align on and go make this happen. This previously would have been days or even weeks worth of work that happened in a matter of minutes. All right. So I showed you a number of things. We're actually announcing 30 things today-ish. The hero things that you saw there, one, You didn't even get to see voice, which you can go out to the demo booths and see that. But we introduced a new concept of skills, like a really powerful way for individuals and teams to extend Slackbot. We introduced deep research, which would have taken too long, I think, for this meeting, but you can have it exhaustively researched. That's what I had it do for the presentation I was given to Mark. I was like, can you exhaustively research this and figure out what questions he might ask me? 5 minutes later, it came back, and I was like, oh, wow, that's really good. We've also given it memory, so it's got that personal and pleasant nature to it. I think the intelligent note-taking for you is game-changing. It really helps us with our product design and engineering meetings as we're jamming on how to actually make things happen. And having it out on your desktop, the beauty of Slack is all of the context that resides in Slack. When you take Slackbot out of Slack and set it on your desktop, it's able to join the context of those Google Sheets, the Google Meetings, the documents you have open, your Figma files, back to that valuable context in Slack, which is immensely powerful. Now, you heard enough from me. I would love for you to hear from MrBeast himself. So to talk to MrBeast, I'd like to welcome back up Mark Benioff.
All right. There's an X on the floor I'm supposed to stand on. I found it. X marked the spot. Okay, Jimmy, where are you? Aha! Welcome,
right
Jimmy.
Here. How's it going?
All right, Jimmy, where are you? Are you in an undisclosed location somewhere?
No, I'm at my studio. We're filming a video where we put a bunch of people in a mansion, and whoever leaves wins it. So I couldn't break away to be there in person. I wish I could, but I'm excited to tell everyone about how we use Slack and just hang out.
Okay, well, we want to know, though, you have Feastables by your side right now?
No, I think, or throw me one. Yeah, right here, ball me. Yes, I do.
Trying to do some product placement for you. There we go. Nice job, Jimmy.
I'm supposed to be doing product placement for you. We're
I know. You'll be getting the bill.
Okay, thank you.
My rates are not, though, as expensive as yours, however, so you're okay. Jimmy, just tell us, why do you guys love Slack so much? This has been a great relationship because not only have you been the best Slack spokesperson we could have ever imagined, but it's truly authentic. You guys have been using it from the beginning, and just tell us everything you love about Slack, would you?
Yeah, I mean, of course. Well, even before we start working with you guys on marketing and things like that, we've been using Slack for years. Obviously, I assume everyone watching this uses it as well, or if you're not, it's kind of a no-brainer. You know, I can open up on my phone and just look through my company Slack right here. We have multiple different businesses, from our CPG companies to our production company to et cetera, and being able to just swap between all of them really quickly. And my favorite thing as an owner is, honestly, you have the feature where it just pulls up all my unread messages, and then I just hit Mark is read. And, you know, sometimes I'll wake up and there'll be like 50 or 60 messages, especially if I wake up at noon because it's a late day of shooting. And it just like, honestly, even just like, you don't even think about it, but you could save 10, 15 minutes not having to go open up every channel, and it just pops them all up and all the different features. And I'm sure we'll talk about Slackbot here in a second, but it's pretty cool as well, just to prompt it to just search through everything. And I'm not aware of any other, app that I could run my company on that, I could basically just go, hey, give me a summary of how this video is going. And it'll actually chats and give me a summary of etc. None of it will like save me an hour, but it's like 5 minutes here. Next thing you know, you save like 4 or 5 hours just because these little things add up, and it's kind of a no-brainer.
Jimmy, I have to ask you one question, which is, we actually originally met not because of Slack, but because of trees. And we were running our trillion tree program at Salesforce, trying to plant 1 trillion trees all over the world. And all of a sudden, we bump into this guy, Jimmy Donaldson, who's MrBeast, and he is running team trees all over the world.
Yep.
And, why is it that you've built philanthropy so deeply into your business? That's been such a great part of Beast Industries. Just tell us your heart on that.
Well, I appreciate you bringing it up. Well, and ironically, I thought I was doing something grandiose. Team trees, we were trying to plant 20 million trees. So we got like the whole YouTube community together and encouraged our fans to care about the environment. And as I was doing that, about this crazy guy on a quest to plant 1 trillion trees, I'm like, what the hell? Just show me up. Like, what are we even doing? I was like, so we're not even 1% of what he's doing. But which just shows the scale of how crazy your goal is. But in general, for us, we're at the moment, every video we make, 1% to 2% of humans alive watch. We're averaging around 150 million views a video. And so I just it's a world where we use this platform to, encourage people to do good and be a good role model and show people that doing good can be fun. So I just try to be a good influence, and I have fun doing it.
Jimmy, I really appreciate that. It's so inspiring to me. And one last question, I have to thank you because turns out you delivered the #1 Super Bowl commercial in the world this year. It's unbelievable, the amount of interactivity and breadth and depth that you got in it. How did you do it? And I know you talk all the time that somehow you have some magical gift that you're able to see what the camera is seeing before the camera can see it. But how did you deliver the #1 Super Bowl ad in the world for Salesforce? Thank you for that.
Yeah, well, I can't see the crowd right now, but hopefully the Super Bowl commercial we did with Salesforce made this commercial that was almost a little confusing. It's me walking through vaults, and I'm like, here's $1 million. It's hidden behind these vaults, and there's random things hidden in this commercial that if you solve all these different puzzles, and obviously it's a Super Bowl commercial, tens of millions of people saw it. Mark, you might know off the top of your head, how many people went to the, how many visits was it?
I think it must have been 100 million, zillion, it was a crazy number that we could never have imagined.
Yeah, well, but the crazy part is even though millions of people were trying to crack this puzzle on a daily basis, it took over a month for the puzzle. So we worked with some of the best puzzle experts on the planet, and we spent half a year designing literally the most hardcore you could ever imagine, 100 different steps and how it all ties together, and then we put all the clues embedded in the commercial. And so there's these giant subreddits and Discord threads, and people with PhD level geniuses would get together in a group of 10 and be like, hey, if we solve it, we'll split the $1 million 10 ways. And it was pretty cool seeing people every day try to solve it. And yeah, just recently someone finally cracked the code. We gave them $1 million, and it was a huge success. And so they had to use Slack and Slackbot. And so we embedded a bunch of the clues into Slackbot. So people had to go use Slack to find it. To win the $1 million, once you solved all 100 clues, they gave you digits, and it was basically the first person to Slack me the hidden code won the $1 million. And so after a month, someone sent it to me, and it's pretty crazy. So I hope we could do that every year and just make it like a Super Bowl scavenger, people go on, because it's pretty fun.
Great job, Jimmy. Thanks so much for everything. We're so grateful to have you part of our community.
Hey, guys, use Slackbot. It's awesome.
All right. Okay, back to you. Oh, who are we going to? Sajna? Sadeja, come on up.
Thanks, Mark. Wow, that was incredible. It's a tough act to follow. Well, you just saw how we are reimagining work in Slack with Slackbot. But what about the rest of your enterprise applications? Now, the reality is that the average company manages almost 1,000 different applications across their organization. Think about that. It's a lot. That means 1,000 different logins. That's 1,000 different systems to learn. And for the past few decades, employees, all of us, all of you listening to the broadcast, we've all had to be the glue that brings all those applications together across our IT stack. We'd have to manage the different insights from here, the tab over here, update over there. And that's a lot of work when we could be driving more impact for our business. And the reality is that, like you heard Parker say, the world's most innovative companies are building on the Slack platform. That's where the engagement is. That's where people are coming together. And so it's no surprise that so many of you are here today with us and building on the Slack platform. We have the team from Cursor here. Cursor is pioneering how humans and agents code together. The team at Linear has built the standard for how software teams are building product. The team at DocuSign, they're reinventing how companies manage agreements. And the team at Vercel, their team put it great. When you take our V0 agent and put it in Slack, it stops feeling like a tool and more like a teammate. And that is the exact experience that we want to bring to every single Slack user. There are over 2,600 applications on the Slack marketplace. And now Slackbot is going to be able to work with all of them. One of my favorite examples of how a company brings all of that together is the team at Engine. Engine is one of the fastest growing travel platforms, and they're really focused on small and medium businesses. And what's interesting about Engine is they have to scale really fast. And they're leveraging and really leaning in to agents and Slackbot and their entire Salesforce stack to do that all in the flow of work. So let's go into the demo where we'll take an example of how a team at Engine can leverage the latest from Slackbot and the Slack marketplace. So here I am in Slack. And just like you saw in the MrBeast demo, if I want to get an update on the status of the latest customer engagement here, I just have to ask, is Acme ready for their sales kickoff in Vegas next Monday? And it's searching through all of my files and information. It's searching through Salesforce. It's getting me all of that rich data. And I see that there's some critical blockers there. This is a great answer. It's giving me all the information that I need. But I want to go one level deeper. I know that they're blockers, but I don't want to have to log into a different system or switch to a different tab and do the mental math. I want it right there. So this is where all those other enterprise apps come in. And this is where the Slack marketplace comes in. The Slack marketplace is where you can access all of these different apps and start to install them in your workspace immediately. So we're going to take Linear, DocuSign, and Cursor and plug them in to our Slack workspace. So as we switch here, we're going to ask the same question, same Slackbot, but now we're connected. So here, you can see, of course, Slackbot is going through all of my files and conversations. It's now looking at all of my Salesforce data because I'm connected there too, but it's doing something really interesting. You see that little icon there? It's actually looking into Linear. It's authenticating and saying, bringing back the information that there's a bug. It's giving me the link to the bug, exactly what's happening, and it's also looked into DocuSign to tell me that there are a few contracts that need to be signed. That's huge. I didn't have to go into another system. And now I'm going to start working on that fix. Because when there's an issue, what do? You come together. Maybe you have a meeting, but if you use Slack, you actually create a channel. But I don't have to do that because Slackbot is doing it for me. Slackbot knows exactly who I work with on this. Slackbot's bringing the right engineer and the right team together in a channel and calling it exactly what I would have called it. It's creating the channel, seeding it with a message with all the context, because Slackbot has that. And then it's inviting someone very important to the conversation, the cursor agent. And the cursor agent is working with us in real time, working on a fix. It's suggesting the fix to the bug, and then Adam, our lead engineer, is actually working with it and approving the fix, because we always have a human in the loop. Now that we've been able to figure out the root cause and the fix, that fix is approved and it goes back into the code. I didn't have to do anything. I get notified immediately. The team was able to fix that with the help of Cursor Agent. This is humans and agents working together in the flow of work. And so now that we've fixed the bug, we're on to our last blocker. And that's getting those contracts out from the vendors. And so I can just ask, hey, Slackbot, can you pull up those outstanding contracts to send? And it's going to authenticate directly into DocuSign where those contracts lives and pull them right up for me. I don't have to go searching for them. I don't have to go find them. It's going to bring them in right into the flow of work in that singular conversation. You can see it actually in the thinking steps went into DocuSign and got those contracts for me. And so now if I want to actually send them to the customer, maybe I would go email them or send them a message, but I can go straight to Slackbot and they're going to show me exactly the contracts that are signed and the ones that are not and send them for me. This is how you can take all of the apps that you're working with right now, bring them into Slack, and now Slackbot has access and can help you be the best you can be at work, so it takes over the burden of being the glue managing all those apps like you used to. You've just seen Slack get connected to all of those different applications. That is how we're going to be changing how teams work in Slack and reimagining how all your enterprise apps work in Slack. All right, Marianne, back to you.
Alrighty. Hi, everyone. I'm Marianne Patel, and I run product for Agentforce Sales. And for the last 27 years, when you thought about CRM, you opened Salesforce. Well, today that changes, and we have 3 incredible announcements for everyone in here, so I'm going to run through them really quickly and tie them together with a demo. And it all starts with Slack CRM. The world's most powerful CRM is now connected with a really simple start. We've brought sales and service right here into the heart of Slack. So now every Slack customer has CRM built in from day one. This is a great way to get started and scale. You can start simple and we grow with your experience. But what if you already run your business on Salesforce, like many of us in this room do? Well, we've got you covered. Because when Mark and Parker started Salesforce, the goal was to make sure that enterprise software moved into the cloud. Well, today it is moving into the conversation because every single application the business runs on has been rebuilt. Not next to Slack, inside of it. This is the first time every single one of your users is going to be able to have the work come right to them. They don't need to go figure out which tab, they don't need to go open it. It's all right to them. Everything that they need is right here, and all of these experiences are right here inside of Slack. My team thinks about Slack as the new UI because we want to be where sellers are working. We want to be where service professionals are working. And this is a great UI to go do that. But it doesn't just stop here. Apps do a great job of executing tasks, but agents do an amazing job orchestrating work. And together, these 2 things, that's what the agentic enterprise is. And that is why Slackbot speaks Agentforce fluently. You don't need to go say, hey, I need to go figure out which agent I'm talking to. All you have to do is ask Slackbot a question. It's going to figure out the right path, execute the work for you, and even better, it's going to manage all of your outcomes end to end. So you have everything that you need right here. We love this collaboration, but you don't have to take my word for it because Anthropic is using Slack and Agentforce. Their entire sales team leverages these tools, and that has been phenomenal because now agents are helping them drive top of the funnel, do prospecting, move deals forward, grow their accounts. It's all inside of Slack. And they have been able to see a 60% increase in deal cycles, which is phenomenal. But less talking for me, more focus on demo. So bringing back Dylan, we're going to move into the demo, and we're going to start right here. This is where sellers start their day. Everything that you need across your Slack conversations, your external tools, Salesforce, it's all right here. If you look at the top, it knows that Omega is this rep's top priority. Why? Because the deal stage is in Salesforce. We know all of the information about why this deal is important. We know your calendar. So we've surfaced this as something that's really important. Every tool that sellers need is right here. But how do they get there? Well, first, let's start with top of the funnel. Every single seller is stuck doing detective work. They're researching all of these different tools, looking for information. That's hours and hours a day, and we've automated it. I am so excited that agentic prospecting just went GA yesterday. So it's now doing all of that detective work agentically. It is looking at Zoom info, doing web research for you, reviewing previous call recordings, and it's serving you, the rep, all of these prospects on a silver platter. This is not just a list. These are the best prospects that meet your ICP delivered right inside of Slack. And I want Slackbot to actually have Agentforce manage these leads for me. Why? Because we have an engagement agent that automatically sends personalized, tailored messages to your leads, follows up, answers questions, and even books meetings with reps. That is amazing. So a sales rep doesn't have to touch this lead until the day that they actually meet them. All of that top of the funnel detective work is now gone. But pipeline means nothing if you're not prepared for the meeting. And that is why we are working here inside of the deal room, and we're going to be doing meeting prep. So let's think about how most of us prep for meetings. Maybe I have a meeting with one of you. I'm going to go inside of Salesforce. Then I'm going to call the AE. Then we're going to do a prep meeting. Then I'm going to go look at my Slack conversations. Then I'm going to see if somebody sent me an email. And I will probably fail at all of that because I, too, have a little bit of ADD. And so instead, what we're going to do is have Slackbot do meeting prep. And you'll see here, what is it doing? Well, it's pulled everything from Salesforce, Slack, and your connected apps, all for this call. I will tell you that this is the #1 use case that we launched with Slackbot inside of Salesforce, and reps were like just drooling. They were saving so much time because it's going through every single conversation, all of the Salesforce data. Honestly, it's way better at doing this prep than the average human because it's a little bit less lazy than I am. And this call brief here, it didn't exist 30 seconds ago. Slackbot generated it right as I was talking to you. And everything that you see here, like flagging the fact that the CFO is going to join the call, I didn't know that 30 seconds ago. This is a high-stakes, last-minute update, but Slackbot knows that. That's why inside of the recommendations here, it's already pulled in the right positioning, the right customer story. It's helping me build that business case, and the rep did not have to do any of that work. Think about all of the hours of meeting prep that would have been taken to get you to this spot. Gone. Okay, but the rep has been so busy drooling at Slack. What have they done? They might have forgotten to update Salesforce. Why? Because every seller in this room, and there are a couple of you in here, I know you, quote unquote, love updating Salesforce. And so we have fixed that too. You know, in my job, I talk to the best sellers in the world. They're so talented and so dedicated, and honestly, a part of my soul breaks when I hear them say, hey, I'm spending so much time doing all of this other stuff. I can only spend about 30% of my time with my customers. The rest, they're doing admin work, they're switching applications, they're figuring out what they need. The list goes on and on. And so what we did was we built the pipeline management agent. Now, if you ask Slackbot, hey, show me everything that I'm looking at, it takes the pipeline management agent. We're looking at all of your conversations, all of your updates, and we are actually orchestrating revenue. The rep never has to manually update Salesforce ever again. And here, why do I love this confirmation? It's not just another annoying AI confirmation. The rep is in control. This is the lifeblood of their business. Tell me a single rep who feels comfortable having AI update their pipeline. Said no one. But once they're in control, they do this a bunch of times, they see all the work that we're going through, then they can say, hey, I'm gonna let Agentforce take over. I'm gonna let Agentforce do these updates for me. In Miguel's SMB organization, we turned the pipeline management agent on in December. In 2 months, we saved 125,000 hours of updates from this tool alone. This is the future of what it means to be Salesforce. Now, this rep has saved so much time, but they still, what do they care about? Cash money, baby. Let's see how we are tracking on our forecast. Now, I don't know if you remember, but many years ago at Dreamforce, we did this hackathon, and somebody won a ton of money by basically taking a conversational ask, pulling up a dashboard in real time, and we gave them a giant check for that. That's what we're doing right here. We're going right to the source. Look for my pipe, look for my quota, look at my deals inside of Salesforce. Generate something that I can look at. Maybe it's going to be a dashboard or a chart. Slackbot is actually deciding what UI to render. I'm so happy I never have to go build UI again. I'm just going to send people here to this UI. And the reason it's taking a long time is there's no pre-built report behind the scenes. There's no one in IT like doing this for you in 2 weeks. I know every seller, it's the bane of their existence, waiting for a report to exist to find the data that they need. Well, here, you have now generated an entire snapshot of your pipeline and, ooh, look at the chart. Mark can give me $1 million now. And so everything that you just need to search data inside of Salesforce, it's right here. Slackbot just did this. So let's count up everything that I just showed in that demo. Top of the funnel detective work, gone. Your morning scramble, gone. Making Salesforce updates, gone. Searching for data, gone. Manually updating, gone. And everything that you need, those hours of meeting prep, all of that is gone. Who thinks that's an awesome demo? What I love about this demo is it finally solves the bane of my existence for the last 14 years and what I've been trying to deliver to customers. Because what really matters is the one thing that has always been worth the time is reps getting to spend more time with their customers, building lasting customer relationships. This is about one rep, having one agent all inside of the conversation. Slack has always been where work gets done, and Slackbot is now how work gets done and happens. All of this is how we are reimagining Salesforce from the ground up. Thank you so much. And for you to hear more about how this comes to life, let's welcome Rob and then Ami Vora from Anthropic to talk a little bit more.
Thank you, Marianne. We're very lucky to have Ami Vora, who's the Chief Product Officer of Anthropic, joining us. So, Ami, you basically at Anthropic are all in on Slack. I'd love to know just like a bit about how you all use Slack and how it's so instrumental to how you've built Anthropic and the products that you've built.
Yeah, I mean, you know some of these stories, but the industry is moving really fast. And one of my jobs on the product side is to help everybody understand what's happening and also make sure the team has enough clarity to keep on moving with velocity. And so when I first started Anthropic, one of the first things someone on my team told me was, you have to start a notebook. That's how everybody is going to know what you're thinking and what's going on. And I was like, what is a notebook? And a notebook at Anthropic is a public channel that anyone in the company can subscribe to, where you just share anything you want. So every week I write like, these are my goals for the week. This is how I did against my goals last week. Never 100%, as you can imagine. Here's what I'm thinking about for a product direction. Here's what's top of mind. Here's where I'm seeing teams come together or maybe need a little more clarity. And everybody does this, every level of leadership, every function. And so you kind of get this ambient knowledge about what's going on and how people are feeling and where there might be confusion or somewhere to dive deeper. And then with tools like Slackbot, you can actually go deeper into specific questions that you might want to follow up on or learn more about. And so this kind of entire system of communications helped us all both feel more connected, but also realize where we need more clarity or what's already happening so we can keep moving and getting products into customers' hands.
That's amazing. It's we often find, at least within Slack, our use, the jumping off point for something in product design and engineering is often a conversation that happens in Slack or an idea that comes from somebody like Ami. And internally, we're using, so like our product manager for Slackbot, as an example, uses Slackbot to create or generate a synthesis of the customer feedback from our pilot. And the engineers are in channel and can actually start using Claude Code right there in channel in conjunction with the PM that's using Slackbot. We've actually used Slackbot to create personas or profiles of some of our best taste engineers and leaders. And our
how do you get on that list?
What's that?
How do you get?
I'm not on the list, which isn't good. But no, but they'll take those those personas generated by Slackbot and put them into Claude Code and basically have them participate as a reviewer in a team of agents. It's awesome to see Anthropic and Slack together that way. Now, Slack is where AI goes to work, and you're obviously at the frontier of where AI is going. Where do you see this partnership taking us in the future?
I mean, my favorite thing that I hear when I talk to somebody using these products is I feel like I have superpowers. You know, that's what you want to hear. You want to hear that people who are sitting down at their computer or using their phone to get work done suddenly feel like they can do things that they couldn't do before, or they can focus on the parts of the job that really need their judgment. And so what I love about this partnership is like, you know, Claude and Anthropic are all about bringing frontier intelligence, and Slack has all the information about who you are, what your job is. And together, we're seeing people just do things like what you said, you know, in a Slack channel about people reporting bugs. You can see an engineer and just say, hey, Claude Code, figure out the root cause of this, and then come back and they can focus on where they need to solve the problems and get some of the pieces that don't need their brains done for them. And so I just can't wait to see what everyone builds in this world where it's a lot easier and more joyful to have those superpowers behind you.
That's amazing. I can't wait to see what people build and deploy into Slack between both of our technologies. So thank you so much for your partnership. I know you have to leave. To help me close it out, please welcome back Parker Harris.
All right, Rob. So those are some awesome demos, right?
Yes, they
Great
were.
job, Rob. All right, I didn't bring my clicker, but we'll go to the next slide, please. So you saw some great demos, you know, how Slackbot is amazing, the ecosystem, you know, we're bringing Salesforce. It's the new front end. It's the interface engagement layer for Salesforce, whether you're down market or up market. And of course, it's your face of all your agentic interactions. We want all of you to have access to this. And how many of you have not used Slackbot or don't have access to it? Hopefully we gave you, all of you. Oh, you don't have it. All right, let's go. Do you have a clicker?
I do not have the clicker, but what you need to do
Let's go to the next slide.
You need to go to the top.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, if you're on a Business Plus or Enterprise Plus plan, that means you're eligible for it. And you should go up next to your search bar, and if you see the little Slackbot icon, that's where you can start using it. If it's not there, ask your admin why not, and they'll turn it on for you. But we're pleased to announce today that we're going to make this available to our free and pro teams through sampling and trials, and we're rolling that out in April of this year. So all of the millions of users of Slack are
Slackbot's available everywhere. So fastest adopted feature I've ever seen. The team is on fire. Everything you just saw is coming out in June, but I guarantee you, a month from now, it's going to look totally different. We are going faster than ever. Also, thanks to this partnership with Anthropic, it's been amazing. Thank you all for being here. As always, give us feedback on our keynotes. You can go to that URL and give us some feedback on how we're doing. Enjoy the show. Enjoy Slackbot. Enjoy Salesforce. Take care.
Thank you, everybody.
And welcome to the post show. Once again, my name is Vic Medarata, Senior Director, AI Product Marketing here at Salesforce. So you walked away wondering, wow, that was a lot. It was exciting. It got me motivated. MrBeast was on board. You saw so much fun stuff, but you're thinking, all right, I'm all in, but where do we get started? You're going to get started now, not someday, right away. So, you know, at the end, I mentioned at the beginning, there's a special sit-down that's happening with Forward Future, Matthew Berman, and Mark Benioff. You do not want to miss that. But let's get this thing going. I'm going to invite back my friend Evan Stowers, and we're going to get right into the details. We're going to learn more about Evan and what you really liked about the show. So Evan, welcome back.
Thank you. That was incredible, right?
That was awesome. I loved how Jimmy, I'm calling him Jimmy. That's crazy. So saw MrBeast clued in, talk about how he's using Slackbot to really do amazing things at his company, and that puzzle, wow.
Yeah.
So many awesome ways to get that uncovered. It was so cool, but let's kick it off with you, Evan. So give us your top 3 takeaways. What are people should walk away here, and what did it mean to you?
Yeah, so key takeaway number 1 is we heard that Slack is, and has always been, where the work happens, and now Slackbot is how the work is getting done. And so what we heard was Slack is your personal AI agent for work. It's built natively into Slack. It has all of your context, your conversations, your files. It knows you, it knows your decisions, your team that you're working with. And it also is helping you to take action across all of your data in Slack, Salesforce, and all your connected data. Second, almost 30 new capabilities that we saw demoed and talked about today. Some of my favorites, Slackbot is in the meetings with you now, not just taking notes, but helping you action off of that. Second, it's working across your desktop. And third, Slackbot as an MCP client is helping you not to just connect with all of your third-party apps and agents, it's helping you take action across all of those. And last but not least, it's now the front door to Salesforce. So all of your CRM, sales, service, marketing, we have reimagined and rebuilt all of those apps to be Slack first and Slackbot first. And Agentforce, Tableau, right? The new way of working is now not knowing all of the Agentforce agents in your fleet, but just asking a question and Slackbot knowing which one to pull in.
Wow, that was a ton. I'm going to reverse that. You said 30. He just talked about his 3 top takeaways. There's so many others that you can get started with today and in the coming weeks. So like I said, not someday, right away. So with that, give the viewer the deets. How do they get started?
Okay, so getting started with Slackbot is pretty easy, right? I guess if you have Business Plus and Enterprise Plus, you have access to Slackbot. You see it in the right-hand side of your search bar, the little Slackbot icon. Click that, start a conversation. If you don't have that, as Rob said in the keynote, you just need to ask your admin why it's not turned on. And the second thing that we heard is now we're going to start in April providing access to users that are on free and pro Slack plans.
That's cool.
Through trials and sampling. So more to come on that.
Amazing. So all my friends who texted me from the main keynote to the break, you heard it from Evan. You can get started right away. Even the free users, you can get started to use Slackbot. Look for that Slackbot icon and start asking your questions and let it work for you. So, all right, Evan, we talked about 30 new capabilities, a ton right now. But what's one thing that everyone should go home today and get started with?
They need to build skills and give them to Slackbot. All of those multi-step workflows that you're doing, all of the channels you're searching, the files that you're creating and drafting, just write it and give it to Slackbot and let Slackbot do it for you. It's a skill. You can teach Slackbot how to do that. You don't need an admin to do it.
I love it. You know what I really love more is seeing the product in action. So let's cut to that video and watch Slackbot in action.
AI is absolutely everywhere. The problem is that most AI is single player. Slackbot's different. It's built specifically for employees with a secure, full picture understanding of your conversations and files. So say I'm a sales leader preparing for a customer call. Normally, I am chasing down intelligence across my CRM, my inbox, and a dozen different Slack threads. Now, Slackbot's gonna change that for me. I ask one question, and it's gonna orchestrate a fleet of specialized Agentforce agents to update my deal brief, flag support cases, and pull from Salesforce. It's not just summarizing, it's directing agents to act on my behalf. So I walk into that call fully prepared. Slackbot can now join your meetings as an active participant. Someone raises a question mid-conversation? Slackbot's already pulling from everything your team has discussed, decided, and documented across the entire Slack ecosystem. So the answer shows up without anyone having to pause, search, or re-explain. And once that call ends, Slackbot is just getting started. It reviews everything that was discussed and decided, then gets to work. It creates action items and assigns them to the right people automatically. And that deal brief your team agreed to, Slackbot's already drafting it. So by the time your team opens Slack, there's something real to jump on. Now imagine a completely different scenario. A creative agency working with a client on a new website redesign. The design files are open in Figma, and usually tracking feedback across frames is an absolute manual slog. Slackbot's already on it. It can see what's on your desktop, the file, the feedback, all of it. And without having to copy, paste, or context switch, it surfaces a clear summary right where you're already working. What the client flagged, where they flagged it, and the specific actions your team needs to take. So once that design's ready, the team taps a third-party AI agent made by Vercel to do the heavy lifting for us, taking that prototype that we just built and deploying it as a live site. And once the client gives final sign-off, Slackbot sends a DocuSign directly to the customer to close out the entire contract. Design to deployment to signature. A complete end-to-end workflow. The intelligence you need exactly where you're already working. All inside Slack.
Okay. There's a lot of action happening behind me, but I feel like I'm on a red carpet, but in San Francisco, so I kind of see a blue carpet here. So I'm going to look for some friends and get them to answer some questions for me. Marianne. Hey,
how are you?
What's up, Marianne? Can I get some time with you to ask some questions here?
Sure.
All right, so this is Marianne Patel, SVP of Product Management, one of my favorite people in the company. Marianne, I'm going to go easy with you with some questions. You get that? All right, so you've been talking to customers all the time. I saw you at DC World Tour last week.
Yes.
Always inspiring speaker, but what are they saying about the new way of working, where Salesforce is now conversational?
For sure. I would say sellers absolutely love it. My job is to be the head of product for Agentforce sales, and sellers, they hate the administrative work. They love the fact that they are really focused on having a UI where they're already working, where they can get all of their updates, and they love the fact that Agentforce is doing the work for them and Slackbot, so they could not be happier. Updating pipe, giving them all of their leads, doing all the hard work. I mean, Sellers love it.
Sellers love it. It's important that sellers love it because they're using these tools, and if you can see success out of sales, what else are you asking for?
Exactly.
All right, here's another one. So you work in Agentforce sales 24/7, maybe sometimes 25/7. She's always doing her stuff because we love Marianne. But Salesforce has a new Agentforce and now Slackbot together.
Yes.
How do you see sellers using them both together to really close deals faster, like forecast deals faster, but just work together more as a team? So that's super important in sales.
I mean, what we demoed today was exactly how I want to see it. I want a seller to be able to pass leads off to Agentforce, get them to handle all of the information that they need about following up on meetings, answering questions, and then they can use Slackbot to get the rest of their work done. Maybe it's meeting prep, maybe it's getting updates. And so it's really a back and forth conversation. Slackbot's like that ultimate teammate that's doing all the work, knows all the context, and it's handing off the work to Agentforce when it knows that Agentforce has better specialists for it.
So I've heard a lot about teammates today.
Yep.
And I know you have a big team. I got a team too. And I love asking this question to my Salesforce teammates is, how do you use Slackbot to organize your team on an everyday basis while you're traveling around the world where everyone's trying to do so much good work? Give the viewers some tips.
All right, so I would say the number one thing is meeting prep. I use Slackbot all the time, every time I'm meeting with a customer. What do I know about them? What have I seen in the deal? What are the things that they're most interested in? So that's definitely one of my big tips. The other one is, I actually used it for my leadership style the other day.
Love it.
I had it ask what it knew about me, and we're onboarding a new acquisition right now, and I was like, what are the things I need to know? How do we get them prepped? And how do we honestly get our teams to function better? So I love that it could also handle soft skills. And then the last thing is, we use it a lot for how we design products. Looking at customer feedback, looking at all the conversations that we had recently, figuring out what to prioritize, it's a great winner for that as well.
Okay, that was new to me, the last part. That's super cool, using it to build your product feedback and just combine that all together.
1,000%.
That is super cool, everyone. So let's meet the new Slack where AI works. Here's Salesforce Chairman and CEO Mark Benioff. Let's watch that video.
Slack is brand new. It's where AI works. We're going to walk through what's going on with Slack. What is new about Slack? And it all starts with Slackbot. How many of you have not used Slackbot? Okay, that's good. Yeah. I hope every one of you is being honest because Slackbot, I'm really so excited. Slackbot is the fastest growing feature I have ever seen at Salesforce, maybe in the industry. It is unbelievable. It knows you. It's your teammate. It's your collaboration co-pilot. It's like right there with you, doing work with you and doing work for you. And it's magic. It's out of the box and it just works.
All right, here we are on this red carpet that I'm calling it today in San Francisco, but it's actually a blue carpet. But you know what? This is a special event with there's so many people behind me. I'm going to find another friend. Satyaja!
Oh, hello.
Oh my God, you look great.
Oh, thank
Loved
you
you in the keynote.
Oh, thank you.
Want to ask you some questions?
Go for it.
I'll go easy on you.
Oh, thanks.
All right, so Satyaja, VP of Product Marketing for Slack here. She knows all the answers, so I'm glad she walked by me. Great timing, by the way. So Satyaja, let's talk about customers. We all love our customers. There's so many of them here today. We heard about them, but today we heard about MrBeast Industries. Well, we heard from MrBeast, of course, but we heard from Beast Industries and Anthropic.
Yes.
So two very different companies, but they're using a product to run their companies and also just get their employees on the same track. But how do they get started? There's a lot of small companies out there, medium-sized companies. Those are big ones, but what would you recommend everyone watching? How do they get started?
Well, I will say that it really depends on what you're getting started with. There's some features that we announced today that are just instant. You can get started using Slackbot just like you would have a conversation, right? Okay. If I say, hey, what's the weather today, right? If you can ask that question, you can get started with Slackbot. But on the other end of the spectrum, if you have a lot of complex workflows and processes that you want to build into Slack and speak to other systems, you might need some help with change management or figuring out the technology to hook up, and that's where our ecosystem of SIs and consulting partners comes in, where they're all ready to help. Also, for all the builders out there, we have Trailhead. So Trailhead's just got a huge wealth of information. So whether you are a small business just starting out or a much bigger company that's really trying to, make that agentic transformation, you can leverage all of our tools, Trailhead, our consulting partners to get started. And one thing, quick plug, I'm glad I ran into you because TDX is coming up. Ooh. And we want to make sure that everyone out there is signed up, registered, and tuning in live to TDX. That is going to be the builder developer conference of the season. So make sure you hit up TDX.
Love that. April 15th, 16th in San Francisco. Go to Trailblazer DX and sign up.
Yeah.
also attend virtually. So, all right, Sateja, you know what? I think I just want to add one thing. I also just ask my friends or my colleagues inside Salesforce, what are you using? How did you get started? Because sometimes you have those power users, and those power users are doing things at home or at the office, and you just got to do a little swivel chair and ask what they're up to. That's how I learn. Cool. All right, so you talked a lot about the Slack ecosystem. Super important for us, especially those SIs. Now, we've heard that being more innovative in companies that are building apps and bringing Slack together. Why Slack and why now, though?
Well, you know what's really interesting is that it's really serendipitous in that Slack has always been where we communicate, where we share things. That's where all of our decisions are being made. And it's where all of our Slack customers are bringing their apps in. So Slack just has all of the context of your organization. And context and conversational data, that is what AI feeds on. And all the other data within your organization. So through having all that conversational context in Slack, and then the full wealth of data across all of your Salesforce apps and connecting them all, that's the perfect place to bring AI and agents into your flow of work. And so it naturally just happened that we had this conversational interface with Slack where companies could bring their AI and agents and they could thrive. And it's all through this conversational way of interacting. That's the new modality that we all expect.
Love it. So we learned a lot about Slackbot for desktop. I know we use it a ton at Salesforce. I use it all the time. That was the big reveal today, amongst the other bunch of 30 plus features. But how are you thinking about positioning that for customers who are who are already in that AI transformation?
Mm-hmm. You know, it's not a learning curve with Slackbot, and the features that you saw today are accessible to any type of customer, whether you're just starting out, what is the prompt that I want to do? You just ask a question. Okay. And it's the same thing with Slackbot for desktop or any of the other features. You just ask the question. You think about what you need, and you ask Slackbot. And that's the best way to figure out how to leverage it for your own workflow. Cool. So I would say, just try it out. Just ask the question.
I know, again, I go back to examples on how I use it. Sometimes when I prompted and ask a question, I see how Slackbot is thinking. It's kind of neat how we've inserted the copy on what it's doing to help you produce that answer. If it's brewing coffee, looking underneath the pillow seat, but it's kind of cool. It makes me laugh, so I thought I'd just add that in here. So, Sateja, a lot of big bets on viewers, or bets on how viewers are wondering how to navigate this agentic transformation. We're using these new words that, I know with us we're comfortable with them, but there's still a lot of people out there wondering what they've seen today around this agentic transformation. What advice do you give for everyone?
Ooh, I mean, I would say, start small. Start using the tools that work for your company. Start with a use case. And if it's something that's as ubiquitous and usable by everyone, Slackbot's a really great way to start because it's like your personal agent. It knows everything about you. It can answer any question. But if you're looking for bigger things to transform, right, processes, take one, start small, and then start bringing more together. And then you'll find that it gets a lot easier to figure out what technology to use for what use case.
What I heard was go after those quick wins.
Yep,
and those quick wins don't need to be big boulders. They can be small stones you see on a trail. Yeah, see, I'm going down to the San Francisco route. You go those small trails, you find those big stones, you go to a bigger trail, and you conquer more and more, but tackle that first one. Tackle the first one. Don't worry about how big it is, just make sure you prove it, and then spread the word.
Yeah, that's how you become a trailblazer.
That's a trailblazer. There you go. Love it. I love Slackbot so much. Okay, Sateja, I love asking people this questions all the time is, what is your favorite feature? And I'm going to add something else is, how do you use it to manage your teams?
Oh my goodness, it's my favorite feature? Gosh, that is a hard one. Okay, I will say I am super, super psyched about Slackbot for desktop, not to talk about it again, but because the use case that Rob showed in the demo, where you're at a meeting and you're multitasking, that is me. I was like, is that demo about me? And so I would love to have Slackbot desktop for everything I'm doing, to catch me up, to point to different things on my laptop. That is going to be a huge game changer for me. But I also like to say, this isn't really a feature, but it's a question, is ask Slackbot what animal you would be.
Oh, that's so cool. Because spirit animal, I think it was, right?
It's something like, if I were an animal, what would I be?
Yes.
And my answer is dolphin. I don't know what your answer is, Vic. I don't know if you've tried it, but it will analyze your working style and patterns and how you interact with people and give you an animal.
I love it. I think the prompt is, Slackbot, look deep into my Slack history and tell me what my spirit animal is.
Something like that.
Something fun you can do with your team. We did this over dinner a few weeks ago. We all did it together. We pulled out our phones and We then shared each other's spirit animals, and we just kind of goofed about it a bit. It was kind of cool. All right, awesome. Satyaja, a few other things I want to ask you here is desktop versus mobile. Is there a difference between the experience?
You know, it really, the desktop version, oh, you mean the desktop version of Slack? Yeah. No, and that's the best part. Cool. I thought you were asking for a Slackbot for desktop for a second. No, the desktop version, whether you're in your browser or in the actual desktop app, that translates into mobile. So the mobile view is great. Now there's some little features we've put into the mobile app to make it just a little extra special in terms of the user experience. Okay. And all of you mobile users out there will know that those are really, really fun. But if you haven't tried it, you absolutely should. And there's some little fun animations we get with the mobile version. But really the information and the things you can do are pretty much a parity. So I use Slack on my mobile all the time. It's how I run my life. It's how I run my team.
Pretty much,
yeah, if you don't have Slack on your mobile device, get it ASAP.
Download, App Store, Android,
there it
Apple
is.
App Store. All right, Satyaja, I know I grabbed you. Thank you so much for your time.
Of course.
Viewers loved your advice. Follow Satyaja. She always posts stuff and learn more. Satyaja, thanks for dropping by.
Of course,
really
thanks,
appreciate it. All right, everyone. Again, we've learned so much from our speakers, from the keynote, but let's go back and watch a bit of that keynote with our GM and EVP of Slack product, Rob Seaman.
So excited to talk to you about Slackbot. I used Slackbot this week for, I had it translate some Italian handwriting through an image into English. I gave it a deck that I was going to review with Mark and said, hey, can you play Mark and play devil's advocate and let me know what questions he might ask? It truly is an indispensable teammate. It is smart, it is pleasant, and it's endlessly useful. It's smart because it knows you. It knows your priorities, the projects that you're working on, but it also knows what's important to your team. And it knows what's important to your company because the priority, the goals, the top projects of your company are reflected in channels in Slack. It's pleasant because we've given it the voice and tone. Who here uses Slack? All right, cool, a lot of you. So it's pleasant because we've given it the voice and tone and irreverence and playfulness of the Slack product, but also because it knows your personal preferences from session to session. We've given it memory, so it knows if you prefer to create slides in Google Drive versus, say, OneDrive. We know what emojis you prefer to use when talking to particular colleagues versus your boss. And I think you'll see, as we show you all the new capabilities that we're introducing and skills that we're introducing, the upper bound of use cases for Slackbot is truly limitless. Now, before I show it to you, I want to talk a little bit about how it works. So we're proud to say that we've built this with Anthropic. We've got Ami from Anthropic here who's going to talk to me later. When you ask Slackbot a question or you give it a directive, a couple things happen. This is dramatically simplified and it's not always linear. First is context engineering, and this is kind of the magic. So this is where the system prompt for Slackbot is. This is where the RAG happens that pulls all the valuable information from Slack, but also the valuable information from Google Drive, from Atlassian, from other systems that you might have connected into your Slack as a user. It's also where your preferences are pulled in to make it personal to you. We then reason over what needs to happen in order to accomplish the task or answer the question. And when it's reasoning over Agentforce agents. It's reasoning over every connected system in Slack, every action it can take in Slack. But every one of those ecosystem apps and agents that Parker mentioned can register their MCP servers for use by Slackbot in their app manifest. So it can reason through and figure out which ecosystem partners it should call. And then it calls those tools. And at the end of the day, the user gets what they want. And it's often a surprising and delightful moment where you're like, oh, wow. I didn't know it could do that. Or, oh, wow, I didn't know it was going to be that good. And I couldn't be more excited to show it to you. I need the glasses for the showing it to you part. I'm going to do that through the context of a customer. Everybody know who MrBeast is? All right. 90% of the content on my TV, thanks to my 11 and 9-year-olds, is MrBeast's content. MrBeast has 470 million YouTube subscribers. That's more than The Rock or Tay-Tay, I think. They get about 350 million views per video on average. Behind the faces that you see on TV are over 500 employees. I think we have Lewis here, who's the CIO of MrBeast, so thank you to MrBeast for being a customer. But they are a content production machine. They run contests, they run stunts, they blow up buildings. They have a camel, as I saw, that walked through their headquarters. It's just a really fun customer to work with. And they live on Slack, and they use Slackbot pretty indispensably throughout their day. So Dylan, why don't we show some of the new features that we're announcing today in Slackbot through the lens of MrBeast. All right, so this is Slack. For those of you that don't use Slack, we're looking at a channel. This is Jimmy. For those of you who don't know, this is MrBeast himself. Now, who here has ever had a boss swoop in and say at the very last minute, we're going to make a big change to what we have planned, right? All of you, exactly. It happens a lot. Not here at Salesforce, but apparently it does at Beast Enterprises. So Jimmy says we need to make a pivot from where we're going to run this stunt to 2 other locations. And so we're going to ask Slackbot, how can we make this pivot? Now, that's a very basic question with very little context. So one thing I want to point out here is Slackbot has situational awareness. So it can actually see the channel or the canvas that I have open here to the left of Slackbot. So it knows that Jimmy actually asked for us to pivot, in this case, I think from Fiji to 2 other locations. Now, the first thing you'll see it's doing is it's loading this relocation skill. Now, Dylan, if we go up to the Skills tab, Skills is one of the new things that we're announcing today. So I think this is becoming a bit of a standard, but this is a way for people to extend Slackbot. That's for users, for companies. We're going to have an out-of-the-box catalog of these skills. People can contribute to them and share them with their colleagues. But these skills are a set of instructions, again, for how to extend Slackbot to execute a specific process. So apparently this relocation stuff happens a lot at Beast Industries, so they built a skill specifically for that. And if we go back to Slackbot, you'll see it has loaded that relocation skill, and it started to execute it. Now, what it's doing in here, one, it's pulling in that context, so it's searching within Slack. It found this stunt brief from the past, and it's taking the information about this current stunt we're trying to execute, joining it with that template, and what it's going to do is it's going to go create a presentation on brand in the Beast Industries template, and it's going to share it back into this channel. Now, what's happening there as it's doing that is it's also going to check the calendar of me and the people that need to be in the meeting that are in this channel, okay? So it's going to create the deck. It's going to find time for us all to meet together to review the deck synchronously. And then it's actually going to send that message and share all that content to everybody on this team. One of the most powerful things about Slackbot is it's a personal agent for me, but one of the most powerful things about Slack is it's a multiplayer environment. So I'm taking all of this insight, all of this knowledge, all of this power, and I'm taking it out of single player mode, and I'm putting it into multiplayer mode, and I'm doing that in a channel. So here you can see it has built out the deck. We're going to show that to you in a second. I keep forgetting to do that because it's super cool. And we're going to ask it to share it back into channel. And so as it does this, it's going to ask me if I want to share that back into channel because the user is opting in for Slackbot to act on its behalf. And so when we go in and actually preview that particular deck, you're going to see that it has created it on brand and in the Beast Enterprises corporate template. I think you can just scroll up and click on the link at the top in the Slackbot conversation there. Yeah, if you scroll down. There you go, you see that. If you click on that. Oh, we're having a little bit of a demo issue here. But what this is doing, as I mentioned, again, it's read all that content, it's booked a meeting for us, and it has created that presentation. With our monitors, we're not actually able to do the preview and show you the presentation right now. We'll give that one shot again, and if that doesn't work, we're going to hop over and fast forward to the meeting. Cool. Why don't we hop over and fast forward to the meeting, Dylan? All right, so we're going to hop over to the meeting, and we've got a couple things that are happening here. So one, I want to call your attention to the fact that this little thing that you see on the right at the bottom, this is not Slack. This is not your traditional Slack client. This is Slackbot out of Slack, okay? So what we've done is we've picked Slackbot up out of the container of Slack, we've set it down on your desktop and made it available to you there. The very first thing Dylan did here is ask Slackbot to start taking notes on the meeting that you see at the top here. That meeting is a Google Meet. So what Slackbot is doing here is this is actually tapping into my local audio and becoming a personal note taker on my behalf. Now, I have a budget up over here on the left, and I'm not good at numbers or math. And so I am going to ask Slackbot to take a look at this budget and see how we can make this pivot from one location to 2 locations happen under budget, okay? And so I opted in to have Slackbot look at my screen there. So it's taking a screenshot of that spreadsheet that you see there. And the cool thing about this is if it can't actually read the spreadsheet, it'll actually go into the Google Drive connector, search for and find that spreadsheet through Google Drive and read it that way. And what it's going to do is it's going to come back with a summary of how we can actually make this pivot happen within budget. But it's also going to spit out a...
Okay, well, coming up next is a sit down with Forward Future's Matthew Berman and Mark Benioff. And before we go, a sincere thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you to our customers. And thank you for everyone who made this event super successful. My name is Vic Medarata, and we'll see you soon.
All right, welcome everybody, welcome. Okay, I'm Matt Berman, and of course we have here Mark Benioff, co-founder and CEO of Salesforce, absolute legend in tech.
Thank you.
Lately, one of the loudest voices talking about agents, how they're going to transform work, how they're going to transform communication. And I'm so excited to talk to you today. Mark, thank you for joining.
Well, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you. And we're so happy to have everybody here for this incredible event. We just had a great program downstairs here at the St. Regis, and it's been an awesome day.
Yeah, a lot of features launched. Slackbot, we're going to talk a ton about that.
A lot of happy customers and partners.
That's right. I am especially excited to talk to you because I think about a lot of these questions all the time, and now I get to sit across from you and actually ask the man himself about how he thinks about the future. So let's start out with the AI interface. Salesforce acquired Slack a few years ago, and it becomes
5 years ago.
5 years ago, and it is increasingly obvious that agents should be everywhere that work happens, not trapped in a single interface. And Slack seems like the perfect place to do that. And over time, how do you think about the tension between Slack being the primary interface and then also Slackbot needing to live everywhere?
All credit really goes to Peter Schwartz on our team, who's our chief futurist at Salesforce. A lot of people know Peter, who wrote or co-wrote or participated in the development of movies like The Minority Report, War Games, Deep Impact, and other things. Universally regarded in our industry as being an incredible futurist. Well, he came to us now almost 10 years ago and said the number one thing that we should focus on is acquiring Slack. At the time, no one in the company really agreed with him, and no one in the company really understood why that would be. But his number one focus was that the world would go to AI and the world would go to agents. And it was his words exactly at that time. What he foresaw correctly was that we were going to get breakthroughs in the models that we were seeing being pioneered in Silicon Valley, that we would need an interface to those models, something that is conversational, something that is open, something that has a broad ecosystem. I think what no one could have seen, though, is not only that Slack has persisted at a great user interface to AI, but also this ecosystem is so rich. The ecosystem of Slack is beyond any of our expectations. It was never kind of foreshadowed that this would be one of the great parts of Slack, and it has become that way. And also Slack has become a great interface not only to the AI community, not only to all these companies, including the AI companies, but also to Salesforce itself, that all of our applications are becoming Slack first.
I mean, let's continue on that thread. So your co-founder Parker hinted at this or kind of spoke about it during the keynote today. Do you see a world in which the traditional Salesforce interface almost fades away a bit and people are really just interacting with their agents, their Slackbot, and then kind of sitting on top of your data layer? Is that the future you see?
There's no question. We've said this to our whole company now several times that we really, over time, really want to kind of position Lightning in where it gets amplified, where it's strongest. But at the same time, Lightning has a role, but Slack has a role. And Slack as a conversational interface is just a great place for Salesforce users to live. Not just Salesforce users, even Tableau users, other And of course the users of all of these ecosystem products as well. In fact, I just had a great demonstration of Writer AI, which is this amazing new AI tool. A lot of folks are using it in the marketing community. It was 100% in Slack. So that idea that products are coming along to be 100% Slack first, we are completely behind that.
And then are you comfortable with people taking their Slackbot off of Slack wherever else they may be working? Do you see a future in which that's going to happen as well?
That's a huge part of it, that I think that Slackbot should be kind of a highly composable object that can be dropped into every capability. And we're committed to working deeply with Teams from Microsoft or every other collaboration tool like Workspace from Google. But in addition to that, the idea that it can get dropped into every Salesforce app as well. So when you're in Sales Cloud, which is our number one, namesake product, or our Service Cloud, the Slackbot is with you as well.
Yeah. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. I want to talk about how this transition.
Good. Will you communicate that to my product people as well?
Yeah. I just
nervous laughter
here, right?
from the nervous laughter from the audience.
So I want to actually continue on that thought, because all of these changes really change how work happens. They change how companies are structured. How do you think team structures change from here? Do you think we're going to see more smaller teams? Do you think we're going to have bigger, more ambitious companies? Do you see like a SEAL team being the best application of the human team inside of a company? What do you think is the right way to think about this?
All of the above, plus a huge explosion of agents that are getting coordinated and commanded either through the AI or by humans. As we've been saying for the last two Dreamforces, and I think we got this right, humans and agents are working together. This idea that we have a role and the agents have a role. When you look at the power inside of a company for the agentic layer to become an agentic enterprise, is what we say, that idea that all of a sudden now I have my agents who can help me service my customers, sell to my customers, qualify my customers, market to my customers, have conversations with the customers. Because agents are built on large language models, the key word is language. It's good at speaking language. So things that are basically impacted by language, like a service conversation, are going to be dramatically better using these tools. Even coding. Coding has now become a language. When I was coding, it was not a language. We were down at the machine level, and we're doing 68,000 assembly language. At Apple in 1984, that was not about language. That was about, a whole different kind of mathematical construct. Now, coding is language, and so these tools are very good abstracted at that moment.
Yeah. And so I'm facing this at my company. So I want to ask you, agents are getting better. They're producing more work. They're able to almost anticipate what I need. I feel like I'm becoming the bottleneck. I still have to
You probably are.
I certainly am, right?
I am, definitely.
I wanted to see if you felt that way, and what is the solution there? Because we're still having to prompt, and we're still having to verify, which is incredibly important to human in the loop. But over time, the human also is the bottleneck, and I'm already feeling that.
That's fine that the human is the bottleneck, because these large language models are still, wildly inaccurate at times. All of us have had the experience where all of a sudden we're using a large language model and it gets totally confused and it's taken a right turn and it doesn't know what we're talking about. So it's very critical that human beings, at least at this stage of AI, stay in the loop. Maybe not forever, but right now I think it is extremely important. And we can see that because the accuracy levels are just not there. So having that ability to really kind of go as far as you can go. A good example is if you go to help.salesforce.com right now, you know that you're working with Agentforce to resolve your customer service issue. But for about half the calls, it hits a moment where that customer is like, I need to speak to somebody. And the agent goes, you're right. And boom, through our omni-channel supervisor, goes to a human who then gets a screen in front of them. And that screen, it could be in Slack, it could be in Lightning, then is looking at all of the conversations, all of the information, and humans are really good at that moment, looking at a screen and going, actually, the problem needs to be this. We're just very good at synthesis, and that human even won't be 100% accurate, but the large language model is still needed a very high percentage of the time.
Is there still a set of tooling to be built to help humans verify at a higher scale? I don't like being the bottleneck, and I'm wondering if
one
you're
thing
seeing
is,
that.
yes, And then the second thing is new models that'll be more accurate over time as we have new AI breakthroughs. Remember, we are in a continuum of models, starting for decades. We've had more and more models, and then now we're in the large language model stage, and we'll move to world models, but we're going to move to other kinds of models that we can't even describe yet that will just over time radically increase the accuracy. And our chief scientist Silvio Salvarace basically has the vision of that we're moving into multi-sensory models. We haven't really seen them yet, but the reason why it's important is the model just has a lot more data to be able to make a decision, not just language, but all this other kinds of sensory data that we have. Like we have our eyes and ears and our brain and our memories and all these things, and we're able to kind of make these decisions. Eventually the models will get to that point.
Interesting. And so let's continue on the human in the loop. For a long time, to rise up in a company as an individual contributor, you needed to specialize. But it seems like we're having a renaissance of the generalist. Are you seeing that inside Salesforce? What do you think about generalists versus specialists in the age of artificial intelligence?
Well, I think this is especially true in software engineering. Obviously, we have 15,000 software engineers at Salesforce. Each one of them is an A player. And the key thing about these 15,000 engineers, they're all out there all over the world. All of them can now be hugely augmented with these coding models. It could be Anthropic 4.6, it could be OpenAI Codex, it could be Cursor, it could be others. But when they start to use these models, they're now working not only with the AI, but agents to help them code, and they can even become somewhat supervisory over these agents. But still, those engineers are needed. The model still cannot operate autonomously. We're not at that level yet of AI. So it's really critical. So our engineering organization is probably more than 30% more productive, but I wouldn't call it 100% more productive. And that's why even in the top AI companies, if you go to their job boards, you'll see they are hiring a lot of engineers. They're hiring a lot of everybody because they have to build companies of humans. Even though these top AI companies, we can go through the list of them again, have these unbelievable models, they need a lot of humans, and that's the canary in the coal mine that we know that the models are not at that level yet.
So I know you're a big believer in humans will be much more productive. You will still need to hire a lot of humans. We're seeing that in companies like Anthropic, like OpenAI. But there is the flip side where there are other companies and diversions of opinions here that they're cutting. And what do you think about the reason might be for that kind of split opinion and different approach?
Well, Salesforce right now has hit a new record number of employees, which is more than 83,000. But the balance of those employees and where they are placed is different than where it was 5 years ago, because we went through an uncomfortable period ourselves over the last 5 years of rebalancing our workforce. That's just a difficult thing for any company. In some cases, these companies are cutting because their costs are just too high. Right. In other cases, these companies are cutting because they've made financial commitments specifically to data centers that they have to pay for. And in other cases, these companies are cutting because they need to rebalance their workforce to reflect the changes in artificial intelligence. These are different reasons, so you cannot bucket all these companies together. If you do, you're making a fundamental mistake, I think, in business. And even though I've spoken about this, I think somewhat aggressively, I don't think most people still really understand what is going on, and it's too easy, to kind of basically make AI and make it the scapegoat. And I think for some CEOs, it's the lazy way out. That's up to them. I think it's better just to say, here's what's really going on, and trying to be specific as you can. You're going to take bullets no matter what, because that's your role as CEO, and then you have to kind of go forward and put everything back together.
Yeah, I mean, the CEOs that I'm talking to, they're doubling down on the teams that are leveraging artificial intelligence. They are investing more in them. They're hiring more. If you were to give advice to somebody fresh out of college, you said that maybe you are rebalancing or had rebalanced inside Salesforce. What organizations should people skill up to?
This is a very, very good question, and I am very worried about this actually, because I was just at several universities just last week, including MIT and Boston, and I sat with an incredible woman who's a junior at MIT, top computer scientist in her class, and she's asking me if she should change majors. And I walk through with her the realities of AI and the models, just to remind her of her own technology, strengths of what, where the technology actually is. And the reality is I'm trying to recruit her, try to bring her, but all of her colleagues, should come to Salesforce. We're hiring interns. We're hiring that freshman class. We want to send our recruiters out to those top 25 high academic threshold universities like MIT and bring those top computer scientists and others to Salesforce because we badly need that talent. And that idea that those people are so critical for a company like ours, that is really part and parcel for what I think the discussion is. Because for a lot of them, they've been told, well, there might be a difficulty you getting a job for the summer or even getting a job when you graduate. But the reality is that companies like ours badly need these people, and we need to kind of put 2 and 2 together to really show, that this is still going to be a critical part of our workforce and a lot of workforces going forward.
Besides for engineering, which makes a ton of sense, what other parts of your organization are you most excited about being transformed by artificial intelligence?
Well, I think number one is sales. I mean, you can do more as a salesperson. We have more salespeople than we ever have. We're selling across all of our core segments. That is from the very smallest companies in the world to the very largest, to the largest governments. That idea that doing what we're doing right now, that is face-to-face communication, that idea that I'm still having to sell you, communicate to you or to your audience exactly the vision for Salesforce, this is still very much a critical thing that happens in our whole company. We have about 15,000 salespeople. We also have about 15,000 engineers. And those 15,000 salespeople, they all need to get out there with our customers because we have hundreds of thousands of customers on Salesforce's core products. But we have more than 1 million companies, using Slack. And each one of them needs that conversation to be able to kind of have that vision painted for them of what's possible. That is what is exciting right now for Salesforce and for salespeople. And that's not the only exciting part of the organization. I think for engineering, you can do more as an engineering executive now than you could ever do, because as an engineering executive, coupled with this large language model, you're not just the engineering executive, you're also the product executive, the design executive, the marketing executive, you're all of the executives. And in reverse, the marketing executive is now also the engineering executive. These things are starting to meld together, which is great. And so we need to slightly adjust our structure. Really looked at how do we reflect, the changes in technology to do one thing, which is to maximize our customer success. Boom. We have to do that. Yeah. Nothing is more important for Salesforce than maximizing customer success. When we talk about Agentforce, nothing is more important than Agentforce adoption. So that idea that we're seeking customer success and adoption and making every single customer successful right now. How do we do that? How do we make that happen? What are the actions that we have to take at Salesforce to do those things? That is not something that we can just turn over to a large language model. That is really the kind of brute force tackling that you're going to really have to get out there, get into the trenches, work with the customers and make that happen. And I think it's an extremely exciting moment, and it means that a salesperson can do it, a systems engineer can implement software today. You don't have to wait for professional services to roll in. You can do it now, locally, on the ground, okay? A marketing executive doesn't have to wait for engineering to build the product. They can start building the product right now. So that is a huge breakthrough in our industry, and every company needs to start slightly realigning around that idea.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, it speaks to the generalist versus specialist argument, and the fact that anybody who has that tenacity and the persistence can just go and get something started, even if it's not necessarily directly within their role, it is a very exciting time to build a company right now.
That idea, it means that you can change, you can transform, you can evolve, you can go forward right now because the technology is empowering you and enabling you to do something that before just was not possible. So now that it is possible, it means you might not have been a coder. You might have just had an idea for a great product. Well, now you can start building the product. You may need an engineer to finish the product. You may need someone to come in, but you are going to get a lot farther along than you would have before these models.
Yeah, I think I've heard no more presentations, just demos, right? So I think that attitude is great.
That is a very interesting point, because then people see the demos and they think, oh, this is a product. There is a big leap at that point from demo to product.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
sometimes we see demos and we go, oh, that means that, this is now
Ready to
done.
ship.
Well, rapid prototyping also means that you can only go so far. You have to all of a sudden say, we need to fill in the rest.
Yeah. So this is kind of a personal question to me, but I wanted to ask you. There are a lot of people in San Francisco, including myself, that are weirdly obsessed with artificial intelligence, maybe some of the folks in this room. And I haven't seen that really with many other technologies. I do truly think about it all the time. It feels very special. Why do you think this hits people so much different? Are you feeling the same way, and will you be my therapist?
No, I think that you have to realize whatever geography you're in, you're feeling the spirit and the energy of the location. And I think for San Francisco, this is the home of the Summer of Love. This is the home of gay rights. This is the home of many great companies like Levi Strauss, Gap, Salesforce even. It's the home of a lot of innovation. It's where we started with the gold rush. And all of that ideas, the spirit of transformation and innovation all started in San Francisco, and that kind of idea is still present here because it's about the energy that's present here in the city. So when you're still walking down Haight-Ashbury Street, you're still going to get that vibe, and so you're looking into the future of what's happening and what's possible. And I'm sure when you go to different places in the world, you tap into those energies, and it's slightly different as well.
Are you feeling that? Are you feeling like you're thinking about AI all the time now, agents all the time? I mean, you do talk about it all the time, so I have to assume it's on your mind.
Well, I had my big AI freakout moment around 2000, maybe 12 or 13, when I started to see these incredible models come out of Stanford. And that was really how we ended up with Einstein, because we ended up acquiring companies, bringing engineers together, and we ended up, in that period of that first generation of deep learning with Einstein. And then, as we contributed to those models, even prompt engineering itself was invented at Salesforce in our research team. Then we had the breakthrough now in large language models. I think it's one of the reasons that Salesforce has ended up owning 1% of Anthropic, because we're really, captivated with AI for a long time, and I'm excited to see us get to the next level. We're obviously going to keep going. When we watch the Peter Schwartz's movie Minority Report, I wouldn't say that we're exactly there today, but there's pieces of it that we can resonate with and go, okay, that's kind of happening. But that idea that we're in an AI society, we're still a long way away from that. Maybe other countries and other nation states, I could give you some examples, are farther along. There's definitely some places in the world that you step off the plane and you realize, wow, I'm in a little bit more of an AI society, a little bit more about facial recognition, surveillance even, where AI is going really wrong, where it's going really right, how it's moving people in certain directions. We're not at that. We're still at a very kind of, we're still at a very much a beginning stage in all of this.
So I want to get back to that in a second, but you mentioned Anthropic. You own 1%. Congratulations. Incredible company. Talk a little bit about the birth of that partnership and then how they're powering Slackbot today and what the current manifestation of that partnership looks like.
Well, that was a very easy thing, because what had happened is we were really pining after investing in OpenAI. And no matter what we did in OpenAI, they kind of refused to let us invest in OpenAI because Microsoft blocked us. So because we were feeling so down about Microsoft blocking us, even though we knew OpenAI was a great company and we wanted to invest in OpenAI and we liked the OpenAI team and the leaders and friends with them and so forth, and they wanted us to even invest personally but not professionally, we felt very conflicted with that, and so we were looking for more opportunities. So we invested in a series of AI companies, including Cohere and Mistral and also Anthropic, because we just wanted to be part of this next generation of models. And that's how we ended up investing about $330 million so far into Anthropic. So that's been very exciting for us.
So that's incredible. Talk a little bit about how they are powering Slack today, how they're powering your AI products today.
Well, I think one of the great things about Slackbot and Agentforce too is that the different model companies, including Anthropic and also OpenAI, are all part of our ecosystem. And all of those model companies, we want to have a home in Salesforce's architecture. We believe at the very base of the stack is the large language model. It's an incredibly new but exciting part of our architecture. And call it that's the beginning of our architecture. And then the next stage of it is really data itself. That data that is federated, that means connected to other data sources, that is integrated, that is harmonized, that all of that data together, we call it Data 360. We just bought Informatica, MuleSoft, that data layer is critical to getting your AI right. If you don't have your data right, your AI is not going to be as strong as it could be. And then the application layer, which includes not just Slack, but sales and service and marketing and all of our incredible applications, Tableau, and the ability for those to then be connected to that data layer to be able to create value. And then the third part that people have seen us really start to deliver is Agentforce and the agentic layer, the power to start to form agents out of that data and out of those applications that can serve those applications. Like in the example of customer service, the application now has an agentic layer. The agents are working with customers, not just humans. But humans and agents are also working together in all cases. And then, of course, not just that, we then go to the customer, the employee agent, like we saw with Slackbot that you just referenced, or other kinds of local agents like we see with OpenClaw, and then maybe more of a supervisory layer or a control layer, even maybe Slack at that level that's looking across that whole architecture, helping the system to come together. And that idea that all these layers are critical, including the fundamental ecosystem itself, means that you're able to deliver a very compelling new solution for companies to automate themselves. And that's where the world is today. And we're trying to deliver our capabilities in that environment.
So you mentioned OpenClaw. I've been a big fan. I just want to ask you, did you install it yourself?
I did.
Yeah? And what did you
I had
think?
to buy a separate Macintosh.
Of course. Mac Mini?
No, I did an iMac because I wanted the screen.
Okay. Do you like it? Good
I
experience?
think it's great, but it's not enterprise grade. So I think, at Salesforce, we have a research project underway called Albert. And that idea is how could we build an OpenClaw, and we have some great architects who are working on this, that could be enterprise grade, that is trusted, that is secure, that is reliable, that is available, and that can work within Slack, but also in all of our applications. I think we have to deliver a local agent capability. We have to deliver customer capability like we have with Agentforce. We have to deliver employee capability like we've done with Slackbot. We have to deliver the whole cornucopia. And by the way, we don't have a not invented here syndrome. That's why we also bought Qualified, which has its own agent architecture called Piper, because we want to make all of that work together.
Very, very interesting. Okay. I want to know, you talked a little bit about how different countries may feel more AI forward, more futuristic. Some of them might be getting it wrong. We're kind of still figuring it out in the US. What version of the AI future worries you the most? Is it bad automation? Is it concentration of power, surveillance? What are you feeling is the risk that we should really be wary of today?
I think it's really the number one risk remains the number one risk that we've seen in social media. You probably remember in 2018, I kind of was calling out social media as the new cigarettes. That when we look at what was going on with Section 230, that social media was becoming addictive. It wasn't good for you. It was kind of, they were trying to bring your children in. I think a lot of children were harmed through social media, especially in other countries. We saw social media being misused by other governments, to do kind of almost nefarious things. I would say that in the same way that we just saw social media, have a lack of safety, we're kind of starting to see that with AI. And we saw this year a number of situations, and we saw this profiled on 60 Minutes, where large language models became suicide coaches for children. And this did not have the safety built in. And that, at this point, there's no excuse for that, and every company needs to double down on safety, on trust. And if you're a core infrastructure provider, you have to take that very seriously and act faster and really speak out about that and call for safety. Not just call for growth, but safety and growth are two sides of the same coin, because we won't have a successful product line or a successful ecosystem or even a successful industry unless we have safety and growth together.
Yeah, and I think that goes hand in hand with the overall sentiment in the US towards artificial intelligence, which tends to skew negative overall outside of this little San Francisco bubble that we're in. How do you think we address that?
Well, I think it has to be through, aggressive action. And I think in some cases, maybe aggressive regulation. You've already seen it now with social media that finally countries are coming along and saying, if you are under 16 or you are under 17, you just cannot use this technology. You go to Singapore, your children are not going to be using social media the way they are here in the United States. And in the same way, we're going to need that same kind of action to really, people are going to need kind of controls, guardrails, if you will. And look, everyone understands technology needs guardrails. Our whole world is built on technology with guardrails. So having technology and guardrails, whether it's created by the industry or created by the government itself, is critical. Nobody wants anything to be overregulated, but at the same time, people do want to have a safe environment.
Yeah. Well, Mark, I want to thank you so much for chatting with me
Great,
again.
thanks so much for coming.
Everybody
again.
give it up for Mark.
Okay.
Thanks a lot, Mark.